Mark Twain once said that when there's a gold rush, it's a good time to be in the pick and shovel business. Today we look at the marijuana green rush in our Cannabusiness Chronicles.
Welcome back, everyone. Half past the hour, and joining us today on Cannabusiness Chronicles, we've got Steve Owens. He's the Chief Executive Officer of Adherence Colorado. Steve, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Russ.
Oh, so glad to have you here. And Adherence Colorado, of course, is dealing with all of the regulations that your marijuana enforcement division have promulgated for people involved in the marijuana industry. Give our listeners a thumbnail sketch of what your product is and how it fits into that regulation scheme.
Great. Essentially what we do here is regulatory compliance audits in the Colorado market. We have an iPad app. It's a proprietary iPad app. Basically, if you go through a medical audit or a recreational audit, there's three different audit types. You have a store, a MIP, which is a infused producer. They create edibles, concentrates, things like that. And then we also have grows or cultivation centers. So we do all three audit types on the medical side and the retail side. And what we've done is take out of the Colorado Department of Revenue, the Marijuana Enforcement Division has guidelines, basically the regulatory code for medical and retail. It's about 500 pages for medical and about 500 pages for retail. Officially, it's titled the Permanent Rules Related to the Colorado Retail and Medical Marijuana Code. But what we've done is pull out every single requirement required by the state into a question form. So when we go to visit let's just say a medical store here in Denver, Colorado, we go in with the iPad app. There's over 300 questions per audit type, and we scrutinize every single compliance detail for that business. So we go through the iPad audit, answer all of the questions, over 300 questions. It takes about 3 to 4 hours in total. And then from there, we upload the results list to our Amazon web server, and it goes through my algorithm that I created. All of the questions are basically ranked, as far as the infraction detail, whether it's a violation, a citation, or a public health and safety issue. And then basically after it goes through the algorithm, it creates a detailed compliance report, which is an actionable list of all the infractions that you did not pass. And it also provides an adherence compliance score. This is relatively new for the industry. And what this represents is risk, the underlying risk on that license. So, and the license is the privilege to sell, manufacture, or cultivate marijuana. So we're taking off here in Colorado, which is great because we kind of have a saying in our company: compliance is science. So it's taking off well here in Colorado, and we're really happy. Our clients are very happy, and we've been able to go in and take a snapshot at of a facility, a store, a MIP, or a grow, and then we can tell you what the risk level of that facility is, that licensed premise.
It sounds like pretty comprehensive software in that it will function for both the recreational side and the medical side, and I assume it's scalable for different sizes of these businesses?
Absolutely. Yeah. We can go into, as we call them, a mom and pop shop that just has a medical store license and a medical grow license. We can provide a snapshot for them. We currently charge $500 per license. Or we go into some of our larger providers that have 16 to 18 licenses, and then we're able to provide an enterprise view, kind of a holistic view of the entire operation. So not only do you get a score, a compliance score and a list of infractions per license, you also get that enterprise view. So if you look at kind of enterprise risk management and that type of software, we're really the first providers in the cannabis industry for that.
Well, that's fantastic. It also sounds like when you described the upload process that this would be a very almost real-time reaction. You wouldn't have to wait a whole bunch of time to get your information and start doing due diligence on fixing those problems.
Absolutely. You get an actionable list of all of the items that you did not pass. We're very detail-oriented, so if we're on the fence on whether to give you the infraction or not, we pretty much will count the infraction against you, because what we want the license owners here in Colorado to be able to do is to have a list of everything that they got wrong. Our process, the Marijuana Enforcement Division, has seen our process here in Colorado. They're big fans of it so far. It's much, much more detailed than the audits that they go through, which is great. But yeah, we're able to take kind of a snapshot and make sure that, these people can address that right away. And then you don't have to wait. We have a couple competitors in the market. It takes anywhere from 1 to 3 weeks to get your results back. And in the meantime, the MED can come through and close you down. So what we're able to do is to provide immediate results through the use of our iPad app and the software that we've created.
That's fantastic. And we're speaking with Steve Owens. He's the CEO from Adherence Colorado. You can learn more about the software at adherence-colorado.com. And looking at your website, it also mentions that your inventory audits match a lot of the requirements for not just the state, but also other types of software out there. So as far as being compliant with or being able to interface with other software, can you give us some details on that?
Yeah, we work with all the major POS providers, BioTrack, MJ Freeway, MMJ Menu, and then basically our consulting services side of the house. We go in and, with the state of Colorado, you have the metric system. It's the marijuana enforcement tracking reporting system that they have here that the state uses. So you'll have a business that uses BioTrack for their point of sale. And they're basically doing the inventory and everything through BioTrack, but they're required every day to reconcile that sales system with the mandated state of Colorado tracking system, which is metric. A lot of times they run into issues, either with the upload file or what have you, or it could be knowledge transfer or the knowledge base, if you will, of the bud tender or whoever's loading the inventory. So if the state system does not match the POS system, then there's issues. You're not reconciling your inventory daily, which is required by law. And then also if you're paying taxes, excise tax, et cetera, on the recreational side, et cetera, basically your taxes will not, the taxes for the business will not be correct because you're basically reporting taxes out of the point of sale system versus the state mandated system there. So our consultants will go in and do daily and monthly reconciliation and then make sure that you're compliant on the inventory basis as well. So one is a compliance, a regulatory compliance, it's a snapshot, if you will, of the licensed premise, the people, the process, and technology. And then the other service that we offer is the inventory reconciliation process improvement. We develop standard operating procedures, operations guides for our clients to let them effectively manage their inventory, because at the end of the day, the inventory is their revenue stream and their value chain. And unless they have that locked down and make sure that there's no theft, there's no leakage and things like that, they're not maximizing their revenue.
This is Adherence Colorado. We're talking about inventory audits. We're talking about regulatory audits and consulting services for the recreational and medical systems going on in Colorado. And Steve, I'm curious. I'm here in Oregon where we'll be developing a recreational marijuana system that opens in 2016. Of course, Washington, they're still trying to put together how their systems are going to be regulated. Are you looking to expand, and have you expanded to the other legal states?
Right now we're in Colorado, but yes, we are expanding to Washington. Washington has the marijuana traceability system, which is the BioTrack software. So they basically utilize that in the state of Washington. And then we're opening an office there probably within the next few weeks, and then start to provide our services in Washington. We have a lot of expertise in the BioTrack system. We think it's best of breed. So we'll be expanding there. We're also opening up in Oregon, Arizona, Nevada, Illinois. So those are our next logical steps that we're opening with. So we're going to be expanding to a nationwide delivery system to provide our services for folks in the cannabis industry.
Another consideration I imagine some licensees might have would have to do with privacy, encryption, and subpoena ability of some of this data. What can you tell us with regards to those?
At this point, we haven't run into that. With our clients here in Colorado, we essentially work for the client. We'll sign an NDA, confidentiality agreement with the client. We will only work with the marijuana enforcement division if the client directs us to on their behalf. With a couple of our clients here in Colorado, we actively work with the MED, and we kind of facilitate the relationship between the client and the MED. For some of our clients who have gotten into a little bit of trouble managing their inventory, reconciliation, and that type of stuff, and have fallen behind in getting the metric system updated here in Colorado, we've been able to go in there and provide our services to help them get back on track, and then work with that and make sure that the state agency is up to speed on everything and transparent. But again, we only work with the enforcement division at the behest of the client. And then we haven't been in any kind of issue where legal issues have happened or anything like that, as far as subpoenas or anything like that.
Okay. What about the issue of cybersecurity? Sony Pictures got hacked for making a movie about assassinating Kim Jong-il or Un or whichever one's in power. You're transmitting back and forth all of this data. How is it protected?
We have encrypted APIs. So basically the APIs are authenticated between the iPad app and our Amazon web server. Amazon has best-of-breed cloud-based technology with their AWS platform. So basically that's locked down as well. And then we have a secure web portal which basically displays the results. If the client would like, we can go ahead and provide the detailed compliance report and the compliance score, if you will, via PDF, so they can use that kind of on a distribution basis with their staff and stuff like that. But we've thought of security in advance, and then we make sure that it's all locked down. And then, we use best-of-breed Amazon server technology, and it's a private cloud. Nobody has access to it other than us.
All right. Fantastic news on that front. We're speaking with Steve Owens, the CEO of Adherence Colorado. They're at adherence-colorado.com, and we've got about a minute left, Steve, so I'd like to give you the last word. If there's any contact information, websites, anything else you'd like to promote about the brand.
Sure. Yes, we are at www.adherence-colorado.com. We also have our Washington site up at this point, which would be adherence-washington.com. Right now in Colorado, we're running a special. It's $500 per licensed audit. So that's basically going through March 31st. We've got a couple strategic partnerships that we're going to be announcing as early as next week. So keep your ears out for that. We're pretty excited about some of the partnerships we have in the industry. And then we're also starting to work with the banking industry. The banking industry has looked at our compliance score, and it basically presents risk on the underlying license, which is the privilege to execute in this market. So the banks are very interested in what we're doing. And then hopefully the banking industry will open up a little bit here to provide the services of the cannabis industry. Right now, because of the Cole memo and things like that, they're unable to.
All right. Well, Adherence Colorado sounds like a great piece of software and consulting services for folks out there that want to make sure they are complying with the emerging regulations on marijuana legalization in this country. Steve Owens, the CEO, thank you so much for joining us here in Cannabis Chronicles, and good luck with everything.
Thank you much, Russ.
Thank you. Stay tuned. We've got the anti-drug public service announcement of the day coming up next, and then the Radical Rant. 9 bills on marijuana legalization issues before the Oregon legislature. We'll give you the tip of the hat, the wag of the finger, since Stephen Colbert's not using it anymore. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
You're tuned into the Russ Belville Show, the voice of the marijuana nation.